If you were to take everything out of the body and leave just the fascia, you would have a holographic image of a person in front of you. And fascia...
Kind of like a Spider-Man outfit, it sounds like.
Kind of like a Spider-Man.
There's more even to that of a damaging effect. Like, people shouldn't be drinking soda. It makes no sense. You know, there's people that are sort of pushed towards drinking diet soda because it doesn't have, quote unquote, the right amount of sugar in it or that much sugar, but both are dangerous, aren't they?
Absolutely. So the toxic load has to be considered in the person's certain circumstance.
I don't know how many of you have ever seen the old classic Christmas story, It's a Wonderful Life, right? But in that movie, there was a run on the banks, right? And it's like, oh my word, nobody had any cash. Well, this actually is happening in real life, and it won't be a wonderful life, right?
It's a matter of fascia tissue. Probably never heard that in the context of medical or physical care. But did you know the fascia tissue is really, really important for overall body compositional, the way it's arranged and the way it's held together? With that said, what is the fascia tissue?
Fascia is a type of connective tissue that if you were to take everything out of the body and leave just the fascia, you would have a holographic image of a person in front of you. And fascia...
Kind of like a Spider-Man outfit, it sounds like.
Kind of like a Spider-Man. Fascia has multiple layers from superficial to deep, even organ or parietal fascia that encompasses organs. And it's much like a fishnet, if you will. If you get a snag in an area of fascia, you think about that pull in the fishnet, it's going to affect the whole fishnet. So that area of fascia can become constricted, and it can be deficient in the production of something called hyaluronin. And when it becomes deficient in that particular substance, the fascia dries up, dries out, and becomes like a trigger point. And that trigger point can be a nidus for chronic pain.
When you talk about hyaluronin, you hear people all the time talk about hyaluronic acid. That will help repair that, and fascia is made of collagen. A lot of people don't think about fascia as being important because it's not talked about, but as a former massage therapist, you would really heavily focus on the fascia, wouldn't you?
Well, that's where I would get the biggest difference, and you can change the snag in the fishnet by applying pressure over time. It's called hysteresis. Things will change in their nature if you apply pressure and heat through time. So you can essentially give the body a good ironing. It's like exercising an area that doesn't get enough physical exercise, if you will. Fascia can become very dysfunctional if we don't move because it's blood, oxygen, and nutrients that are moving through the tissues that irrigate the tissues and bring nutrition to them. So if we sit too much, fascia can develop this thing called myofascial pain syndromes because there's just not enough nourishment and there's a lack of hyaluronin that's being produced, and the area, the body becomes dysfunctional.
Well, it's interesting because I think of fascia, maybe two different analogies. One is like pantyhose, right? And the other is like maybe aluminum foil. Both wrap up something, but if there is a run in the hose, that's a problem. And if there's a wrinkle in the wrapping, the aluminum foil, that's a problem too. And you're talking about the ability to kind of fix those runs and fix those wrinkles, even with your hands, right?
Well, whether it's chiropractic, deep tissue massage, there's other things like cupping that are out there now, acupuncture, dry needling. Those techniques all affect the fascia and the fascial layers. And the principle is bringing blood oxygen and nutrients in, and flushing out an area that's been stagnant. Now, how else can we treat fascia? Of course, nutrition is going to be highly important in getting enough simply of the omega-3 fatty acids, because omega-3s bring inflammation down.
Good point. And I think people need to understand, since fascia is made from collagen, I believe there's 5 types of collagen.
Yes.
Type 1 is the most abundant, but then I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, type 3 is the structure that builds the fascia. But the bottom line is, we can actually bring in collagen, can't we, with supplements. I like whole body collagen. Use it every day.
Put it in your water, dissolves in your water. It's tasteless, colorless, and can go down the gullet while you're working during the day, while you're riding your bike. You can have it in your water holder, in your backpack, fanny pack, satchel. You can take
People
it
are
with
saying,
you.
well, doesn't that get gross? No, the freaky thing is you can put a scoop of our whole body collagen into water that's clear, give it a little bit of a twirl, and it pretty much goes clear again. It's got a little tint of a maybe a dingy brown, maybe a little bit.
Maybe.
But it's slight, but it tastes good, and you don't taste any difference. Some people also put it in their coffee as a creamer. Pretty cool.
So nutrients, collagen, omega-3s, other things that can help fascia are just applying heat.
Yeah.
Maybe through something that's put it like a beanbag that's put in a microwave, and not necessarily electrical heat to tissue, but something that's heated and then placed on the tissue can improve blood flow and oxygen to the tissues. There's also yoga. Yoga is, when done right, yoga is a very dynamic athletic activity that essentially lines up the joints and can help stretch or line up fascia as well.
Well, lining up the joints, lining up fascia, lining up anything is going to help better blood flow, isn't it? I mean, I think that's the moral of the story here. We're trying to bring about oxygenation back to areas again because there's healing in the blood.
Yeah. You talk about that yoga position, down dog. When you get in the down dog, you know which joints are tight and need some stretching. And as you hang out in one of those positions for a while, that's heat and time, blood, oxygen, and nutrients to the tissue, which improve the health of the fascia. Also using maybe a foam roller. There's all kinds of foam rollers on the market now.
Well, there is, and it's mixed, and sometimes, mixed data it's just what it is. It's mixed. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It doesn't mean it does work. But you think something does work and it makes you feel better, that's good. I think that when you look at this whole process of the fascia tissue, it's neglected a lot. And a lot of people find themselves in chronic pain situations, I think of plantar fasciitis, the fascia that's on the bottom of your foot and how that gets misaligned and all that. And all these things that can happen, but if we just give a little bit of attention, a little bit of fascial love, and even some facial love too, we'll probably see a little bit more healing there. So, I think take your collagen, do some things we talked about today, make sure you stretch, and make sure you get with someone that knows what they're doing, obviously, to give your fascia a little bit of treatment. And you might find yourself being freed up from some of these pain maladies that bother you. So give us a call at our clinic or reach out to us at sherwood.tv, and we're happy to help you.
Could drinking soda, diet, or regular be killing you?
Yes, stop it immediately. Find out next.
I could use your assistance.
Okay,
Jesus. Huh? My name is Jesus.
Sure. Jesus.
Jesus is here today.
You looking for a job?
Yes, sir.
You and Mark have 45 days before the bank forecloses.
Not to worry. They do not call me, by God, Byron, for nothing. The collection plate starts to be passed around. Mark reaches into the basket and shouts, "You and your family are the winner from the first church of the lotto." Kind of think of it like a high-stakes bingo night every Sunday.
Poopy diaper! Poopy diaper! This video of the diaper is going viral right before our eyes.
This is a miracle.
What is?
Friends of Faith has over 300,000 followers.
Oh my dad! That's more followers than Moses had.
Jesus! Take the wheel!
Just say it.
No,
Stop
take the wheel!
I got it, buddy.
And when you navigate through these economies with people, here's what happens. We want to hold their hand through it, let them know when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge. Because a lot of times when you're struck with fear does two things. Number one, it can paralyze, and people just put their head in the sand and say, I'm just going to forget about it and hopefully it gets better. Or it causes you to make a wrong decision. And this is why we are here, is to help people navigate through the political quagmire nonsense that's going on, the economic malaise, and the absolute collapse that we're seeing. And when our freedoms are eroding, our political freedoms, our economic freedoms, our personal freedoms, our religious freedoms, our health freedoms, they're all tied together. But you know what doesn't need to erode with that? Our finances.
KirkElliottPhD.com/Sherwood.
Let's shine the spotlight on one of our star supplements.
The human body can make most of the types of fats it needs from other fats or raw materials, but not omega-3 fatty acids, also called omega-3 fats or N3 fats.
These are essential fats that the body must get from food.
Biomega 1000 provides a potent dose of omega-3 essential fatty acids sourced from a strategically placed fishing facility in the far South Pacific Ocean off the coast of Chile.
Each capsule delivers an impressive 1,000 milligrams of EPA and DHA, and the capsules also contain vitamin E. See the link below for a special offer, and remember, don't be fooled by cheap online knockoffs. Did you know that drinking soda, whether it's diet or otherwise, may be killing you? Recent research has come out on the fact that if you drink more than 2 sodas a day, it may have an impact on your long-term health. You may actually be ending your life too soon.
Those are strong statements you just said. I do think that there's more even to that of a damaging effect. Like, people shouldn't be drinking soda. It makes no sense. You know, there's people that are sort of pushed towards drinking diet soda because it doesn't have, quote unquote, the right amount of sugar in it or that much sugar. But both are dangerous, aren't they?
Absolutely. Both are dangerous. And even when reading these particular articles, I always have to take them with a grain of salt, because each individual person, the toxic load that or burden that they put on their bodies every single day for the passing years that they've lived has not been evaluated. So the toxic load has to be considered in the person's certain circumstance, not just the soda or the diet soda.
Well, here's a couple of things. I mean, so the pitfalls of drinking real soda. Obviously, in today's world, in America, they're sweetened with high fructose corn syrup, okay?
That's an ouch.
That is toxic to the body. The body cannot break that down. If you want to have fatty liver, drink sodas, right?
Yeah,
That's
well,
it.
isn't high fructose corn syrup now deemed the #1 cause of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease in America today?
It is, and it's estimated that 1 in 4 persons right now in our great country have non-alcoholic fatty liver and have no idea. And so then there's that. And then you have to think about that, consuming that, connected with other things you consume through diet that also have high fructose corn syrup. So it's a mess. And so I am adamant about, if you're a parent out there, I'm adamant, do not introduce sodas to your kids. There's nothing good that can happen from that. And then diet soda has a whole other problematic ingredient list to it as well. The thing that I found fascinating with that is one of the ingredients in diet soda actually has the ability to form formaldehyde. So formaldehyde is what we do to pickle dead people.
That must be aspartame.
That's it. So it is aspartame. So there you go. So ultimately, when I look at diet soda, when you drink that, you're just kind of preparing yourself to be dead.
Well, and
pretty
just
strong statement too.
that is a pretty strong statement. Association does not mean causation.
No.
So just because somebody drinks diet soda and their life ends early doesn't mean that diet soda is essentially the cause. We have to look at all of the other summation of what went into that person's life. And we studied genetics, and we know that the genes are the loaded gun and the environment pulls the trigger. So if a person has genes that are weak in the area of detoxification, per se, that person may not be able to handle the toxic load of artificial sweeteners. So therefore, their liver, their cells at the cellular level may become damaged because of this foreign substance quicker and faster than somebody who has a normal detox potential.
Well, either way, you think about something called resilience. I mean, our resilience, some people have greater resilience than others to take in toxins. And you know, sometimes people can take them in for 30, 40, 50 years and nothing. And then all of a sudden, boom. Some people, it affects them earlier. And by the way, I'm not saying that sodas cause cancer. I'm not going to go there because that does not directly
Association
correlate.
does not mean causation.
But here's the thing. 2 million new cases every year right now are being diagnosed. 2 million. 609,000 people die every year of cancer to date. It will overtake in our lifetime. You hear me? In the next 10 years, it will overtake heart disease as the #1 killer in America. Could this toxic load, toxic mess that we're bringing our bodies in, talking about sodas included in that mess, could it be contributory? I think yes.
Well, absolutely. We know that the solution to pollution is dilution. In order to live a long and healthy life, we have to really be cognizant about what we put in this skin bag, this temple, this body that we live in, because at the end of the day, all things matter. You might forget about what you had for breakfast, for lunch, or for dinner, but let me tell you, your body doesn't forget it. It goes through your liver, it goes through all these processing plants, no pun intended, all these enzyme little factories that are inside your cells, and your body has to deal with that. So kind of a rule of thumb is if you turn the label over on the back of anything that you're consuming and you don't know what it is and you can't understand it, can you imagine what's happening to your body at the cellular level? Perhaps that's the problem. We're putting too many chemical products into a body that is designed to have fresh and raw fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, good clean proteins, and not these chemical modulators.
You want to, this is related. See if you can guess this riddle. Here you go. This is a riddle from my wife. She has no idea I'm going to ask her this question. Which doctor in the world who is well known has mastered the art of malpractice and hurting people?
I'm not going to say that out loud.
Dr. Pepper. There you go. How about that? Pretty good.
I would have got that
Just
wrong.
came up with that right now. Isn't that good?
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, ultimately,
Who
folks,
is Dr. Pepper?
well, he's a quack, right? So the thing is, folks, we say, well, one is not a big deal, and perhaps it's not. But the more you open that door and allow toxins to enter that are known carcinogens, that are known things that the liver doesn't break down that contribute to fatty liver, it's a bad deal. So, Diet Coke, real Coke, diet soda, real soda, we don't think it's any good at all. And I think we need to avoid that. There's a lot of different substitutes out there. These carbonated waters with flavors are really, really good. So get away from soda, gravitate towards water as your chosen drink, and you'll find your health improving along the way.
Up next, our financial guru, Kirk Elliott, gives us advice on what you need to know at this time in history.
Hey friends, you already know the answer to this, but we'll ask you anyway. If you stay away from your favorite junk food for a month and then go back to supersizing it, will your health improve?
Well, that's the thing about change. To change, we have to be as consistent as possible.
And when we go back to an old habit, it's not the end of the world. We just get back at the new habit.
Before you know it, real transformation is evident to you and others.
That's why we offer a bunch of helpful bonuses when you subscribe to Kingdom Fuel.
Kingdom Fuel is our complete nutritional meal shake.
It's the simple start to a transformed life, and we'll auto ship every month so you don't run out.
You'll receive 2 free shaker cups, free access to our video courses, and a monthly call with us filled with practical inspiration.
Just see the link below or on your screen and subscribe today.
Hey there, Kevin Sorbo here. Now, deep down, we know this. We're more than just a brain and a body. We're a spirit, we're a soul, and we're also a physical temple. If you hit the wall when you're trying to improve one aspect of your being, it's probably because, well, other aspects are sabotaging our success. So that's why diets don't work. And frankly, why so much conventional wisdom from our so-called medical establishments falls flat. Doctors Michele and Mark Sherwood have a very different approach. I should know because I happen to be one of their patients. They address the whole person to get to know you, your challenges, and more importantly, what your goals are. Then they offer a complete plan that addresses your unique biology and your heart. They'll help you discover what you need to experience transformation. So find out more at sherwood.tv/Sorbo. That's sherwood.tv/Sorbo, or see the link before. Now, I'm heading for a workout. You should be going for a workout too. All right, guys. God bless.
Hey everybody, Dr. Kirk Elliott here, and thanks, Mark, for having me on. Interesting topic today because it's a scary topic for everybody that has funds in the bank, right? So I don't know how many of you have ever seen the old classic Christmas story, It's a Wonderful Life, right? But in that movie, there was a run on the banks, right? And it's like, oh my word, nobody had any cash. Well, this actually is happening in real life, and it won't be a wonderful life, right? So the FDIC, the Federal Depository Insurance Corp, right? When you have a bank account, a checking account, savings account, your bank accounts are what? They're insured up to $250,000, right? So we all feel safe, right? We all feel safe that our bank accounts should be safe, right? They're not tied to the stock market. They're not tied to the bond market, or are they, right? Because what does the bank do with your funds? They lend it out, right? So they used to be that every $100 you would deposit, they would keep $10 back and they would loan out $90, right? So it was a 10% reserve requirement. Well, during COVID, the banks, all banks in America from the Federal Reserve said reserve requirement is 0. So they don't have to keep any money on hand at all, 0, right? Oh my word, they could be ripe for a bank run, right? So they also did one other thing. This happened last year. Also what happened last year was the Fed took $2.5 trillion of liquidity out of the banking system via a mechanism called a reverse repo mechanism, which just means they gave all banks these worthless US treasuries and stripped cash out. So they took out $2.5 trillion. They made a 0% reserve requirement, meaning banks don't have anything on hand. So their liquidity is like minimal. But then in November of 2022, a meeting was held at the FDIC, and this video just came out end of the first week in January. It was a video of their meeting. It wasn't intended for public consumption because these FDIC officials were talking, and what were they saying? We can't let the public know about this at all. Now, the bankers, they need to know what's happening in the markets and the impending collapse. And see, Mark, words have meaning, right? So impending collapse. They weren't talking about a collapse that might happen somewhere down the road. An impending collapse of the markets, and the public can't know about what they're talking about in this meeting because that would have come with unintended consequences. It's like, what in the world were they talking about? So what they're talking about is the FDIC is running out of money. So we all think we have $250,000 insurance coverage. We don't, because there's $9 trillion of our money in the banking system. 9 trillion, okay? They have 125 billion covering 9 trillion. That's 1.388%. So the FDIC only has 1.388% of all of our deposits covered. No wonder the FDIC officials, when they didn't know they were being recorded, said, we can't let the public know about this because it would come with unintended consequences, which would be what? A run on the banks. And how much money do banks have? 0% reserve requirement. And they stripped $2.5 trillion out. So this is where, what do? I mean, seriously, what do we do when our banks aren't even safe? And you and I have spoken in the past, Mark, about stock market collapse, bond market collapse, and a lot of times people just put their money in the banks when they want it safe and they just want to sit on the sideline. That's not even a good option now, right? With the banking system in complete shambles, no liquidity, and now FDIC, the insurance coverage is so underfunded. They only cover 1.388%. So what do? What you and I have been talking about for months now. Go into tangible assets like gold and silver. It's your safe haven. It's the flight for quality that we all need in times like this. Because here's the growth that we've seen. Asset protection first and foremost. We need to protect everything we've worked so hard to accumulate. Silver and gold are the safest assets in the planet because they're things, and things go up with inflation. But over the last 13 weeks, silver's up almost 40%. It was, let's see, 3 months ago, so 13 weeks, it was $17.97 an ounce. Today it's well over 24. It's up almost 40%. But 12 weeks doesn't make a trend. So let's look back further. 2.5 years. Silver was $11.91 an ounce in March of 2020. Now it's up to over 24. That's up 98% in 2.5 years, averaging 38% year growth. That is amazing. In a time like this, when we're all concerned about stock markets collapsing, bond markets collapsing, we're losing equity in our houses, we can have a smile on our face like I always do because we can have something good. There's hope and there's light at the end of this tunnel. If you do the right thing, reallocate into silver or gold, tangible silver or gold, and we can help you with that.
How can boosting your daily nutrition save you money? I'm Dr. Michele Sherwood.
And I'm Dr. Mark Sherwood. Kingdom Fuel costs about 1/3 of the average lunch and will supersize your nutrition.
Our unique meal shakes are balanced, low glycemic, rich in fiber with 20 grams of clean protein, essential vitamins and minerals, healthy fats, and organic fruits and vegetables.
Kingdom Fuel is a simple start to a transformed life.